Hello, hello. This is First, Fair, and Tommy. Guys, since English is a lingua franca used by people around the world, there's so many varieties of English globally, including the most renowned ones, which are considered as native standards, American English and British English. Some people even believe that English learners who cannot keep up to these English models are failures in studying the language, which is why I'd like to debunk this fallacy with these 2 points of mine. So, by the word failures, though, some of you might think in an ideological way of getting high expected scores in English proficiency tests, but to make my first point of mine, I'll mention failures more pedagogically. So, there's a saying that efficient learning requires good teaching. People assume learning English with native teachers is the move to success and dismiss any non-native ones. However, Elias and Algofeli in 2019 suggested that this wouldn't be the case at all. They conducted an experiment by dividing two groups of Saudi Arabic students taught by different English-speaking teachers, both native and native ones, to make comparisons and evaluate student accomplishments under both teacher types. Surprisingly, though, the result shows nativeness doesn't make a significant difference in learning efficiency, and students can even perform better, for example, at listening comprehension with non-native teachers. This means that success in language learning is driven by teaching quality, not some ideological norms of nativeness. Similarly, the second research paper conducted by Chimkanda in 2005 mentions a so-called superior linguistic model of native speaker idealization, which gets treated that it's all just a myth. One of the key points in this argument is that English is a global majority non-native language with many, many varieties of English. It's more important to focus on communicational communicational accomplishment, such as intelligibility, appropriateness, and effectiveness, rather than only on nativeness. Consequently, the native speaker standard is not a valid measure of proficiency. Success in communication is the one that all language users should prioritize, regardless of their nativeness. Okay, now let's hear from Pear about what she thinks of about this fallacy.
The second point is Thai English in tourism industry. The research from Gugyan Adisa shows that foreign tourists generally provided positive feedback toward Thai English, particularly in terms of personality traits such as friendliness, confidence, and sincerity. Although tourists from inner circle countries tended to judge Thai English more critically, especially regarding grammatical accuracy. This reveals a mismatch between comprehensibility and native speaker based perceptions, suggesting that native speakers' judgments are influenced by their privileged positions as a mother tongue rather than by communicative effectiveness. The need to conform strictly to native speakers' standards becomes less relevant as long as learners can achieve their communicative goals. Their English can be considered successful. Therefore, learners who cannot reach native speaker standards should not be regarded as failures, since intelligibility and communicative achievement are more appropriate measure of success in English use. Next is about EIL, English as International Language. So, Parmi gonna talk about this topic.
For the third point, I would like to focus on English as an international language. According to Jenkins, most communication in English now happens between non-native speakers rather than between native and non-native speakers. For example, English is often used when Thai speakers communicate with Singaporeans, Koreans, or Europeans. In these situations, sounding like a native speaker is not the most important factor. What truly matters is intelligibility, which is the ability to understand each other and communicate successfully. Having an accent does not mean that a speaker is less competent or unsuccessful. In fact, many proficient English users around the world communicate very effectively, despite having non-native accents. Jenkins also argues that native speaker norms are not always appropriate for international communication. English, as an international language, should focus on mutual understanding rather than perfect pronunciation based on native models. Therefore, judging English learners as failures simply because they do not sound like native speakers is unrealistic and unfair. In the context of English as an international language, successful communication is more important than achieving native speaker standards. To conclude, our discussion shows that English learning success should not be judged by native speaker standards. Research on teaching effectiveness, global English use, and high English in the tourism industry all demonstrate that communication quality and intelligibility are more important than nativeness. Therefore, learners who do not sound like native speakers should not be considered failures, as successful communication is the true goal of English as an international language. Thank you.